Welcome back to Star Talk Daily. Glowing Star here. We dive into the hottest celebrity news, trending movies, and the latest showbiz scoops. Collision, get ready for daily doses of star power, exclusive gossip, and fun facts about your fave celebrities. Cool, stay tuned for all things entertainment. Jason Statham stole the show in this 10-year-old spy comedy classic with a 95% RT score. When Spy was released in 2015, it was easy to assume it would follow in the footsteps of other espionage spoofs, lightweight, silly, and ultimately forgettable. But Paul Feig's action comedy quickly proved it had more on its mind, and in its heart, than anticipated. Anchored by a powerhouse performance from Melissa McCarthy and a career-defining comedic turn from Jason Statham, Spy cleverly walked the tightrope between parody and homage. It substantially mocked spy tropes, but never at the expense of its characters' sincerity or emotional arcs. 10 years later, the film stands as more than just a standout of its release year. It's a genre gem that reshaped what audiences expect from action comedies. Part of Spy's staying power lies in how it reinvents the espionage formula while grounding it in real human emotion. Another part is how it dared to reimagine its stars, particularly Statham, in ways that both satirized and celebrated their existing screen personas. Today, Spy feels just as sharp, funny, and fresh as it did in 2015, continuing to influence the comedy-action hybrid and offer a masterclass in how to balance ridiculousness with depth. Spy's premise is absurd, yet mold-breaking. Its quirky characters, slapstick comedy, and masterful performances made it an instant genre classic. Many spy comedies lean on hollow slapstick or caricature to poke fun at the genre's tropes, but Spy takes this to a far more inventive level. It builds its entire premise around an emotionally grounded, refreshingly authentic character. Susan Cooper, played by Melissa McCarthy, is a CIA analyst who spends her days behind a desk, guiding suave field agents through their missions with precision and quiet dedication. She's not glamorous or lethal by typical genre standards. She's underestimated, overlooked, and consistently undervalued. But when the agency's top assets are compromised, Cooper volunteers to go into the field, not because she suddenly becomes a super spy, but because no one else can do the job as well as she can. Paul Feig's direction allows McCarthy to flex her comedic muscles while also presenting a nuanced portrayal of someone who is funny, brilliant, awkward, insecure, and quietly capable all at once. Cooper's journey isn't about a magical makeover or sudden combat prowess, it's about using the skills she already has. Whether she's improvising her way through a stakeout or standing her ground against hardened criminals, her victories are hard-won and deeply satisfying. The comedy arises not just from the absurdity of her missions, but from the way she confronts danger with sarcasm and smarts, refusing to conform to the conventions of either her job or the genre. It's a performance that blends subtlety and fierceness, showing that the best spy might just be the one who was never supposed to be one in the first place. Feig, who had already established a knack for mixing sharp humor with real emotional stakes in Bridesmaids and The Heat, fine-tunes that approach here. He gives McCarthy ample room to explore the full range of Susan's persona, the woman who mourns the loss of her partner's respect, who doubts her place in the world, and who ultimately decides she doesn't need to be anyone else to be extraordinary. Cooper's evolution isn't about ascending to action hero status, it's about recognizing she was more than enough all along. That message, woven into the film's slick action and outrageous set pieces, is what gives Spy its heart. It's not just parody, it's empowerment. Delivered with a snort laugh, making it one of the best action comedies of the decade. The film marked Jason Statham's comedic renaissance. After taking on so many serious action roles, he was finally able to make fun of himself. Of all Spy's surprises, perhaps the most delightful is Jason Statham's performance as Rick Ford, a rogue agent whose impossible self-aggrandizing stories and bravado could have easily been plucked from one of his own earlier films. But instead of playing the straight man in a sea of chaos, Statham becomes the chaos. Ford is an uproariously ridiculous character who spouts off absurd anecdotes, like having reattached his own arm or survived a car crash while on fire. And yet Statham delivers every line with such intense yet deadpan sincerity that it becomes impossible not to laugh. What makes his performance truly shine is that he never winks at the camera. Statham throws himself into the role as if Ford truly believes he's the toughest, most indestructible man on earth, despite tripping over his own plans and storming off in a tantrum when things don't go his way. It's self-parody at its finest, but it also functions as a brilliant commentary on the hyper-masculine, emotionless action hero archetype. Feig hands Statham the keys to his own mythology and lets him drive it off a cliff, gleefully. The result is a dynamic unlike anything audiences expected. McCarthy's grounded, emotionally complex Cooper clashes spectacularly with Ford's raging idiocy, creating scenes that are both hilarious and revealing. Their chemistry crackles not because they're allies, but because they're opposites. Where Ford is arrogance and bravado, Cooper is instinct and empathy. And yet, even in their tension, there's a strange camaraderie that grows, one that underscores how Spy treats its characters not as one-note jokes, but as fully formed players in a layered, living world. Statham's work in Spy also marked a turning point in his career. It showed he was more than just a stoic action star with a perpetual scowl. It revealed impeccable comedic instincts and a surprising willingness to look foolish. After Spy, Roles like Statham's self-aware turn in Hobbs and Shaw or his scene-stealing moments in The Meg became possible. He tapped into a new facet of his persona, one that could blend brute force with slapstick timing, and it made him even more compelling. Spy single-handedly redefined the spy comedy. And it revived Statham's career arc in the process. Spy didn't just work because it had a funny script or a star-studded cast, it worked because it respected the genre it was mocking. Feig and his team constructed a legitimately entertaining spy narrative, complete with globe-trotting, dangerous villains, and high-stakes operations. But rather than parody these elements from a distance, Spy immersed itself in them, allowing its comedy to arise organically from the situations and the characters' responses to them. This gave the film a tonal confidence that many spoofs lack. It was silly, but never sloppy, over the top, but never careless. The film also challenged long-held assumptions about who gets to headline an action movie. Melissa McCarthy's Susan Cooper was a radical departure from the glamorous femme fatales or grizzled veterans that usually dominate the genre. She was awkward, sarcastic, capable, and complex. And audiences responded. Spy made over $235 million worldwide and earned a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, not just for its laughs, but for its heart and craft. It opened the door for more inclusive casting in action comedies, proving that a female lead didn't have to be a fantasy archetype to succeed, she just had to be human. In many ways, Spy laid the groundwork for later films that blended action and humor with more character-focused storytelling. Its influence can be seen in movies like The Lost City, Palm Springs, and even Deadpool, films that mix genre spectacle with wit, emotion, and a hint of self-awareness. It also helped reposition Jason Statham in the public eye. By embracing his comic side, he gave his own career a shot of adrenaline, allowing him to escape the typecasting that often plagues action stars. 10 years on, Spy remains not only a hilarious ride but a vital piece of the modern action comedy landscape. It's a film that dared to laugh at the genre while still loving it deeply, and in doing so, it crafted something rare. A comedy with staying power. A decade later, Spy still feels fresh, partly because few films have managed to replicate its formula with the same finesse. It set a precedent for how to do character-driven comedy in a genre often dominated by spectacle and superficial shine, proving that vulnerability and competence can coexist in a hero. It also gave filmmakers and studios a blueprint for how to cast against type in a way that elevates both performance and story. McCarthy and Statham's unexpected synergy became a blueprint for how comedy and action can not only coexist but mutually enhance each other when rooted in character, not caricature. In a media landscape increasingly flooded with safe, franchise-driven content, Spy remains a singular reminder of what happens when talented people are allowed to play, stretch, and surprise. Its influence can be seen in recent action comedies that lean into self-awareness, The Lost City, the unbearable weight of massive talent, but Spy still stands alone as a high bar. The rare comedy that respects its characters, its genre, and its audience all at once. More hidden gems and epic endings are coming your way, so hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. You don't want to miss what's next. This was the Star Talk Daily, bringing stories to life. Until the next reel, stay curious.